Welcome to Perspectives on APQP4Wind. In this series we will explore how APQP4Wind is applied in practice and how your company can benefit from it, by sharing insights from suppliers, OEMs and developers from across the wind industry. And today we will focus on the supplier perspective, and I'm pleased to introduce our two guests, Kim Schmidt Petersen from KK Group and Irina Sova from LM Wind Power. Welcome to both.
Thank you.
To begin, could you briefly introduce yourself and your experience with APQP4Wind? Kim, if you would start.
Yeah, so my name is Kim Schmidt Petersen. I'm heading up the quality and safety in KK Wind as Vice President. So I've been in the wind industry for 27 years, around that, and then I've been part of founding the APQP4Wind from the beginning. So we use APQP4Wind since we launched the first model manual in around 2017, and ever since then we used it both in relation to our customer interface and our supplier interface.
And Irina?
My name is Irina Sova. I am the head of quality at LM Wind Power. I've been working in the wind industry for the past 14 years. At LM, we're committed to APQP4Wind since the very beginning. We were one of the 4 founding companies that established the initiative. I've been involved with it for over a year now, and I'm continuing the work that was carried out by my predecessors. In my role of head of quality, I keep the focus on enhancing the product quality and the communication. So both internally at LM and externally working with our customers and in APQP4Wind, I spend quite some time keeping the momentum.
Thank you both. And now, Kim, how would you explain APQP4Wind in a few words?
I would say it's like a resource hub where you can get insight and information in relation to how to apply the tool throughout your supply chain. And basically it's about making sure that you're in control and fulfilling customer expectations.
And if you had to sum up the core value in just one sentence, what would it be?
Yeah, that's difficult because it's very interesting and there's a lot of aspects, but I would say that it's like risk mitigation within a common language framework.
And Irina, from your perspective, what value does APQP4Wind create that makes the extra effort or cost worthwhile for you?
Framework like APQP4Wind might seem like a heavy lift, like additional paperwork and extra cost and extra steps and extra resources. But I think the key here is to take it and to embed it into the way you already do the product development work. Doing this allows you to work more efficiently, right? To take down the cost of poor quality and to ultimately deliver higher quality, higher value products to your customers, right? This is the key to build a brand and credibility as a supplier. And it's basically not about what you're going to do more. It's about doing it smarter and more efficiently since the beginning.
And Kim, how has APQP4Wind changed how you approach product development or product delivery? Could you share some insights on that?
Yeah, sure. I think, since we started using it, we have shifted a little bit more into front-loading activities. So being more aware about the associated risk of the product that we are developing. And I would say actually to some extent confronting and challenging the customer in relation to past experience and what are actually the key challenges on that product. And then throughout the framework utilizing that one, we actually are able to managing and controlling and mitigating those risks throughout the project all the way through to signing of the PSW, including managing of the associated risk that goes towards the supply chain and sub-suppliers and so forth.
And can you share an example on where APQP4Wind made collaboration clearer or easier, Irina?
Sure, we were lucky enough to have a quite simple example with one of our customers that we were working with for many years. and we have implemented the APQP4Wind framework, agreed early on the product quality plan and the deliverables, the content, the format. And we were able to actually measure the communication flow and the speed with which we reached the outcome we were expecting for. And there was a tremendous difference in the way we worked together. What was also helpful was that we were able to accommodate extra requirements in a very structured way without, hesitation, last minute doubts and improvisation. So, yeah.
So now we have touched upon all the benefits of applying APQP4Wind, but there must also be some challenges. What challenges have you faced in using it, and how did you handle them, Irina?
I can think of a challenge at the beginning while implementing APQP4Wind, because if, as we said previously, if it seems or if it costs you extra effort and extra paperwork and it's singled out, isolated compared to the actual work that gets done, then this is a challenge to integrate it into the way we actually work. Mm. In my case, since we've been working with it for a while, I think one of the challenges is the degree of maturity with working with APQP4Wind across the wind industry, because different customers, different suppliers have different technologies and volumes and degrees of automation. So bringing everyone to a shared maturity level, it's a challenge. Mm.
And so how does APQP4Wind help when working with different customers and sub-suppliers, Kim?
I would say it actually helps in a way that we have a common approach to how to deal with quality assurance throughout the project. I mean, back in the days when we started, this was one of the foundation why we actually initiated the whole APQP framework and community, because we saw that the OEMs at that time were using, of course, ISO 9001, but also sneaking into 16949, but with different approaches and stuff like this. So it was quite a challenge to adopt this and deliver towards customer expectations when they were varying, and that also created then different set of documentation that we need to supply and fulfill for different customers, and they were calling it different things. Mm. So with this harmonization or standardization, I would say that it made it much easier for us to sort of say deploy and standardize our internal procedures and processes to make sure exactly that we can deliver on customer expectations, including whatever comes from our sub-suppliers and that way through, right?
And Irina, what advice would you then give to other suppliers starting their APQP4Wind journey?
In addition to what you just said, that is very useful advice. A very pragmatic one would be to ensure that when you do the kickoff meeting and you establish the APQP team, those team members are not changed too frequently, and they can have the empowerment to make the right decisions, the right calls, and move things forward. Because that can lead to misunderstandings and communication flaws later on.
Yeah. And finally, Kim, how do you see APQP4Wind evolving in the future?
Yeah, I think we've come a long way since we started, right? And it's widely used within the wind industry today. But a turbine is a very complex structure, so the supply chain associated with it, of course, is huge. So there is definitely further layers down in the supply chain that we need to deploy to. And then that's one aspect, right? And then the other aspect is that we sort of say build this up and sign the PSW and make sure that once we release for serial production, we are in control with the knowledge we have at this stage. But then what happens is that turbine goes on in operation for many, many years, and that's where you have the real validation of the product and the design. And then it would be great that we can sort of say expand the framework to include also the real life of the operation of the turbine, right? And make sure that we have seamlessly closed learning loops and feedback loops to ensure continuous improvement throughout the new generations of wind turbines, right?
Thank you for sharing your perspectives, and thank you for watching. We hope that you find this conversation both informative and inspiring. If you want to learn more about the APQP4Wind journey, or if you want to learn how to join our community as a company member, please visit our website apqp4wind.org. And don't forget to check out the other interviews in this series to get more perspectives from across the wind industry. Thank you.